shortcut. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about how to open up the inside of the cat and look at the internal organs. So first thing you're going to do is begin to cut right along the middle there and then open it up. Up here, when you get to where the diaphragm muscle is, it's typically going to remain shut, and you're going to need to make a little cut to the side on each side because the diaphragm muscle is holding the two parts, which is right here, the two parts of the abdominal cavity together. And then as you cut into the thoracic cavity, which is this region right here, it's pretty hard, so you're going to need to get underneath with your scissors, push down hard, maybe even two hands. You hear that? It's going to have to cut through the rib cage. Coming up, forward. Okay, when you cut through the ribs, you're going to need to use your scalpel to go along the side there so that you can see the neck. And keep on going, opening up. Apparently my computer's doing something weird. So now you'll begin to see the internal organs. So right here underneath the sternohyoid muscle is the trachea. So you can turn that muscle or move it to the side so you can still see it. So right on the top, that's the trachea. Right below it, which is more of a flat structure, unless there's food in it, you're gonna find the esophagus. So let me see if I can separate that off the bottom there. So trachea on the top, esophagus on the bottom, which is right here. And then as you work your way down, you're gonna feel and see, this is the heart right here inside of the pericardial sac. These are the lungs. This is the diaphragm muscle. This is the liver, big liver, lots of lobes. This right here is the gallbladder. I don't know if you can see that it's slightly green or grayish looking, okay? Right below the liver is the stomach. This is the stomach right here. You can feel it and see if your cat has any food in there. This large organ that looks like a piece of meat, like steak or whatever, is the spleen. Okay, and then as I move, this is small intestine that you see. Right here, this is the urinary bladder. And some of the bladder of your cats might be larger, depending on whether there was urine in there when the animal died. So let me show you as we move underneath the stomach, there is something called the greater omentum, which is like a big mesh net of fat and tissue that kind of cushions the stomach. So when you begin to move that out, it comes off of the bottom of the stomach, covers all the intestines. So when you move that up and out of the way, you're gonna see the pancreas. I don't know if you can see it well. The pancreas looks kind of like chopped ground beef as opposed to the spleen, which looks more like steak. It's smooth. So the spleen is smooth, the pancreas is underneath, and right along here looks like more like a ground beef, chopped meat. This is the small intestine. Between the small intestine is what's called mesentery. So that's the vessels and tissue, connective tissue that keeps it from tangling. Now as you follow the small intestine all the way to the end, you're going to see the straight part here, which is the large intestine. And then that turns right around and goes all the way down. Large intestine, and then it's going to obviously enter and exit out the anus. Looking underneath here further, the kidney here, there's one on either side. There's the other kidney. You might also see, this is a female, so these right here, this and this, those are the uterus, believe it or not. In the cat, the uterus has two sides. You might think it was the fallopian tube, but it's actually the uterus. Right here, if you follow it all the way up, the ovary is inside of this little tiny thing here. It's about the size of a bean. This is the ovary, and then right around it is the fallopian tube or oviduct. But this part is actually the uterus, and so it also is over here. So cats have a uterus that's like this, which basically all the babies can end up all along here. It's called a bifurcated uterus. So they have ovary at that end and the whole uterus, and then the uterus comes to what we call the horn, And that's where it would go down and through the birth canal when the babies are born. So mine is a female. So there you go. Bink.